しいんだけど。
ピノキオ・パルチーニ。
あら、呼び捨て？フィノッキオお姉ちゃんって呼んでくれないの？
なんでここに？
なんでって、決闘の立ち会い人を務めるために決まってるじゃない。
All right, episode 7 of the Most Notorious Talker, and let me just say this out the gate. I think this was like a 7 out of 10, maybe 6.5 out of 10 episode. I think this was the least interesting episode of the season yet, which at the end of the day, you know, is totally okay. So this is episode 7. We're about halfway through the season, and I think it's okay to swing and miss. I think it's okay for them to put out a mediocre, like just okay episode. And trust me, I totally get how some people may view this way differently than I just did. And I understand how people might think like, oh, this was a really badass episode. I totally get it. Here's where I'm coming from, okay? Is I want to say out the gate, I understand why Noel is doing the things he's doing, or at least why the author or the storyboard person or the writer is depicting the way that he's doing things, right? He's trying to take down the Gambino family. Or this Albert person specifically. He's trying to be very strategic and methodical and like really, play chess on a checkers game kind of deal. But at the end of the day, well, let me say this, and I understand why he went, he found the birth certificate, he found the doctor, he got the doctor to talk, he tried to get all the people on his side. He's trying to have Albert's whole entire life immediately thrown in reverse and just flipped over. And now he's setting up a duel. He called Finocchio in, which I think is the best character of the show. Finocchio is awesome. He called Finocchio in to be, a part of the duel, so he maybe sell Albert off as a slaver as well too. Like man's playing chess on a checkers game. Like he's doing 4D math here. Okay, I get it. My big problem though, it's not even a problem. Just my anecdotal brain is like, well, he's a talker and he can basically force anybody to confess. He's done it, I think, multiple times, at least twice already, just during the 7 episodes that we've watched. He could basically force somebody to confess. He could force Albert to spew all of the lies that he's told these followers. He could basically have him spew all these lies or tell the truth out of his own lips. Like, Noel can make that happen. That's part of his skill. So the moment that we know all that, it's like, why the necessity to play, on a 4D map? Why the necessity to play checkers on a chess game, whatever, right? Why the necessity when you have that? He had the ability just to go to them and be like, you'll be able to hear the truth from your boss's lips and just make him tell the truth, especially if he has these suspicions already. Now, again, you might say, or the author might say, it's like, oh, well, it's to drum up interest and mystery and drama and intrigue. And when Albert sold off as a slaver, and when he gets sold off again, we're basically having the adventure party number 2, and Noel, she's showing you that IQ level once again, and the snake is coming to bite. You know what I mean? I understand why they're doing it. It's just like, it's very okay to me. The other thing this episode was like, they just keep depicting him as like this cobra ready to snap and ready to seethe his venom in you, but they did it over and over and over. It's like, I don't need to be constantly reminded that Noel is a slithery snake, that he's like this venomous, badass. Like, I don't need them to keep reminding me. Like, I need them to just have actions be shown, but they keep doing it over and over. It's like, okay, like, let's not overuse a cool thing. I thought the first time that, like, they had his eyes turn red and the snake comes out, I was like, okay, that's pretty cool. But then when you do it 2, 3, 4 times in episodes, like, okay, like, let's pump the brake on the same animation, over and over and over, so again, I can see if someone was like really jazzed up about it. I can see maybe if you really like it, you know what I mean? I totally get it. I can see people like, just for me, it's like, okay, it's too much. Like, let's take a step back. We don't need to do all of that. And the last thing I'll say too is, I really thought there was gonna be a moment to where he was gonna like, I think the whole point of all of this that he's doing is to eventually get the samurai guy and recruit him and be the best, be the person that conquered the best because of his hero complex that he has, his internal complex that he has. So I feel like all this is gonna lead us on a back road all the way around back to the samurai guy, which is totally okay. But I thought there was gonna be a moment to where like, okay, now they're gonna have like this like, not bond, not connection, but like a moment where like, okay, like, let's drum up a plan and I'm gonna let you know. And then like once this plan succeeds, you're gonna come work for me. Now again, that little moment may still happen after the fact, but I just feel like we're taking a really long path to get to just the samurai guy being recruited. And the one thing I have to remember, and I think you have to remember too, is like at the end of the day, like this show is only scheduled for 12 episodes this season. So considering that it's scheduled for the 12 episodes, right? Let me just make sure I'm not crazy. Let me make sure I'm not lying to you right out of my mouth. Well, I mean, actually, it's not scheduled, at least on Live Chart and my anime list. It doesn't say when it's specifically ending. So it might be scheduled. We might have more episodes, but let's just say it is scheduled for 12 or 13 episodes. We're essentially, half or a little over halfway, through this show. So, take that for what it is. Last thing I'll say too, again, just reminding, I'm about a 6.5 out of 10 on this episode. That Chelsea girl, I think her name was Chelsea, the little girl who was like, Noel, how dare you to my daddy? Apparently, the thing that it showed us, that the guy was holding, like, I don't know if he was holding like a brooch or something like with blood. Apparently it belonged to her, and that really set Noel off quite a bit. I thought that was pretty sad. Even though that girl's pretty angry at the chief or at Noel because of the chief, which is her dad, about what he did and everything. Of course, she was still angry at him. But because of that, he still has some kind of connection to her, and he's not completely evil. He's a edgelord guy, but with a heart. So he got drummed up about that. Okay, and last thing, Pinocchio, once again, best person of the show. He really reminds me of Hisoka from Hunter x Hunter. So he just gives me the vibes. I really like him quite a bit. So he's definitely the star of this show. All right, friends, I'll leave you guys in those thoughts. 6.5 out of 10. Another episode of Talker. Probably the least, my least favorite of the season so far, but that doesn't mean it's bad. Overall, I think this season overall is maybe like a 7.5 out of 10, 8 out of 10. Definitely one of the gems of the season that definitely deserves more attention and deserves more hype. So I'll see you guys next week for episode number 8. Stay up. Peace out, my friends.